The alarming thing to me was on Sunday, it sort of felt like 1994 again. Like, do you remember what that felt like? Like what Patriots games felt like before Bledsoe really kind of got them going? And maybe during the Carroll era a little bit, like where it was like week 1, 1:00, nondescript game from a national perspective. It's maybe the 6th or 7th most appealing game. You have no idea what they're going to be. And it felt, but for so long here, every game has felt like a big game. And when the Patriots open the season, it feels like a big deal. And it just sort of felt to me like I can remember like when I was a kid, like remember that game like Bledsoe and it was Bledsoe Marino.
Bledsoe Marino.
Right? And like I remember like that season going like you didn't know how good you guys were going to be.
Yeah.
Right? So like that was like a pleasant surprise, like wow,
you knew after that game. You knew after that game.
This is going to be an exciting year. You know what I mean? Like and
shootout.
It sort of reminded me of like what the Patriots were before, which tells me they're not really a marquee franchise anymore.
Bledsoe threw for 421 yards and 4 touchdowns in the 94
like Labor Day weekend, I think.
And
right?
yeah, but I mean, it's funny.
Right?
Zoe, I was just talking to Zoe about this last week. The Labor Day weekend opens. 473 for Marino and 5 touchdowns.
It was a wild game. I mean, it was like, and that was back when that sort of stuff never happened. Like
right
now, you see a game like that, you might get a couple of games like that a year.
Irving Fryer had
never
three,
had games
three
like
of the scores, by the way.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the point is, like,
bombed him.
Rev.
Like, I don't know if you guys felt this. I don't know if you guys felt this way, but and maybe the ratings are reflective of it. And this is the sort of thing that I think gets the attention of ownership. Like the Patriots have been so used to being on the marquee, on the NFL's marquee for so long, and it just struck me on Sunday. They weren't close to that. Like they're like from a national perspective, how many more games were more appealing than the game they were playing in?
Part of it is the Dolphins, but you're right, because the first year after Brady, at least there was the fascination with Cam Newton. Like, how is that going?
No, and it was Belichick, too. It was like, what are they going to do without Brady?
What are they going to do without
Brady? And then
Brady?
last year you had the rookie quarterback.
The rookie quarterback, and now what's compelling?
They're
what's
just
compelling
another
about
team.
What's compelling about a Week 1 Patriots?
It's funny. We played
matchup.
the Tomlin audio, and he said we're sort of two teams in transition. There's a lot similar to both of us, and I thought, ooh, okay, so but still Steelers, Patriots. But my buddies in Pittsburgh said they're Steelers fans. They're like, oh man, we suck. We suck this year. You guys are going to beat us. You guys just beat Cincinnati coming off a Super Bowl.
And this doesn't.
They still don't think they're good.
Does Patriots Steelers feel the same? Not even close.
No.
Not even close.
This is the first time since '98. No Brady, no Ben.
I mean, like just from a global perspective, like that was sort of a takeaway. Was like watching that game. It felt like the '90s again. You know what I mean? Like it felt like, oh God, this is just another team now. You know, and even the way they played the game, the way that game went.
Yeah, but here's the difference. In '94, everyone was very optimistic because there was no being a different team to have ever experienced. So I feel like at that point in time, things were probably more optimistic. If you want, I don't know if that's the right.
Well, the bar was lower too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the bar was lower, so it was different. Like, everything was different then. But like I'm just saying, like as far as where you
in
were,
'94, you felt like there was a real direction. Even if it wasn't going to happen in 90, you know what I mean?
It was going to happen.
There's something building. They've got the quarterback. They've got the coach. They're trying to put it together. You know, there was a feeling of that.
That was Kraft's first year too, I think, right?
It was.
Yeah. So, like, I think that's the sort of thing that gets the attention of ownership because the owners are all competitive with each other, right? And, like, why does Jerry Jones peacock? Because he's always on the marquee, right? And they're the one franchise that's sort of impervious to wins and losses. Like, they'll always be on the marquee, right? Like, I think, like, what you're starting to see here is, like, and I wonder what sort of effect this is going to have on ownership. And that's, like, why I like to look at Kern's report this week, and it gets my attention, is are they antsy? Are the Krafts antsy now? Like, is it like, oh, my God, we're not what we were? And you get so comfortable being that for 20 years. Maybe you think you're going to be it forever. They aren't that anymore. They're just another team. I mean, like nationally, they are just, and no one, if you turn on the talk shows on Monday morning, no one's talking about them, right?
Yeah, they're not nationally what they were just a few years ago. By the way, the ratings, as you mentioned in passing, were down 23.9, and it peaked at 25.5. Last year, the team's average locally was 31.5. Felger yesterday was rattling off all the ratings from the last 6 years of openers for the Patriots. This number's low.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it should be in,
really
it should be in the
low
mid to
number.
high 30s. Yeah.
But what is also notable is that in past years, you could make a case that the Patriots being, slow out of the gate, having a lackluster performance in week one would be a story Monday morning on all the shows and stuff like
Right.
that. That's not it wasn't.
I
a story.
remember when I moved to Dallas, right? So you guys know the name Rick Gosselin?
Yeah.
He was
Morning news, right?
Yeah, the morning news, like a legendary writer there, is like kind of a mentor of mine. And he was like, when I was thinking about taking the job down there, I was talking to him and like, he was like, this is a no brainer. And he's like, and I'm like, why? And he goes, well, think about it this way. He goes, if the Patriots are 11-5, they're really relevant in Boston, right? And I go, yeah. And he goes, and if they're 5-11, they're less relevant. And I go, yeah. And he goes, okay, so if the Cowboys are 11-5, they're really relevant here. He's like, if the Cowboys are 5-11, they're more relevant than they were when they were 11-5. And I think you're seeing like, that's like such a great barometer. Like this franchise doesn't move the needle like this, like the same, like it's just, you kind of get like a wake up call to like how great you had it for 20 years. And then that's not a given.
So
I think that's the sort of thing that ownership pays attention to.
I would say that now what has happened over the last 20 years is this team, and if you go back to the channel market research survey that we were pouring over the data a couple weeks ago, I think the Patriots have the strongest fan base here in the market, right? I think they've got a firm grip on the strongest fan base and biggest fan base going. The problem is if you lose, we'll say a third in TV ratings, those are not those hardcore, real, in tune with the team Patriot fans that are following the team through good and bad. But I can tell you this, we don't care as fans that talk about the game every single week, no matter what.
Right.
But the teams do.